And you could see the thread.
Yes, and we're starting.
Hi.
So, um, hi, this is Akemi, and welcome to the new episode or the next episode of Bringing Spirituality into Life. So, as you can see, we have our guest Stacy today, Stacy Rush.
Thank you.
Hello to everyone. Um, and everyone, please say hi, and in the comments, write us where you're from and any questions that you have for us while we talk, let us know. And we're here to answer your questions about bringing spirituality into life. And just for you that you can see that Donna's not here. So my regular program or my live is with Donna. But since she's so busy running around and going on big stages, I have a surprise for you. So we're going to have guests coming in and we're going to have some opportunity to see different types and different people that actually have spirituality in their life. We're going to actually know how they use it, how they connect, and what they do. So, today we have Stacy. Stacy is an international teacher, a speaker, healer, sacred space holder, witness, and prophetic channel of divine grace. Hey, I got I said it. Okay, so Stacy, would you like to introduce you to everyone who's watching?
Hello. I'm so excited to be able to join Akimi, who's my birthday twin and dear
Yes.
friend from Japan. And also, I want to celebrate Donna's success and her busyness at this time. So I was so happy to be able to join in this opportunity. And let's see, I am originally from Chicago in the United States, Illinois, and was an elementary school teacher for many years. I've had gifts open since I was young, and it wasn't until 2006 that I decided to formally get trained. I always knew I would at some point formally, but once I took the training coming from an education background, I fell in love with it 2006, and really every breath since has been an amazing journey. And I've watched it do amazing things. Also, just growing my relationship. The most important relationship we each have is with God, true source, however you conceive that to be, the isness of creation. And to really take that into our embodiment. And that's really how you learn to live and how to love and how to receive and how to share and how to allow. And so it's just who we are, like at our truest sense. And my goal for my whole life, or the majority of my life, has really been to just be my most authentic, self-expression that I could be. And it really kind of rooted for me in my high school, because we did this prayer every day that I didn't really get until I was older, but I still was saying it, that at 10 o'clock, the entire school would come on and say it. And so that's kind of like, and I still remember it and do it. I kind of changed some of the words, but it was always about like, how can I be of service today? Right. And so that's kind of something that's always been a part of me. And then I knew at some point I would use these gifts and abilities, although I didn't really know that not everybody saw what I was seeing until I was in my early 20s or like mid 20s. I was already at college, like kind of when a friend of mine in a class had asked, I'm like, why did you just say that? Like, didn't you just see or hear the information? And she's like, no. And so up until that point, I just assumed everybody saw the auras and the colors and the beautiness of the energy of creation. And I didn't really get that until I was older, but that's what always led me. And so
So I do have a question while you were just talking and sharing.
mhm.
So I know, like, when it comes to spiritual things, it's all about the unseen. And you just said that when you were little, you were seeing all these different things and you couldn't really get it until you were older. So I for the people who are listening, they may have children that actually say these interesting things that they do not understand. And I can be one of them because my children do, talk to the wall, talk to the ceiling. Sometimes they started to cry because they saw my grandpa popping around in the room when he was already gone. So, do you have any experiences or how you kind of got to the connection and was able to accept what you were seeing and what you were experiencing to this life? Like to really accept it as it was what it was.
Yes. So for me as a child, I don't remember a time where there wasn't my guardian angels around. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I did, which was very wise of my guardian angel, my mother was a nurse, my father was a teacher. And had I start talking about what I was seeing, I'm sure they would have put me in like Psych 101 or like they would have like been like, whoa. But it wasn't until around that time in college when that friend said something to me that people would always ask me to pray for things, or people would say, kind of sense something. But actually, it was when my grandmother passed that that morning, the day, like had been like almost dying for like a year. And it was my niece that actually said to me that morning, she was over having breakfast. My parents watched her. And she said, Auntie Stacy, because I was staying at my parents' house at the time, Auntie Stacy, grandma's really sick today. And I was like, I know she is. And she's like, no, Auntie Stacy, grandmother's really sick today. And I just knew in my gut feeling that that was going to be it. Right. And so it wasn't until later that evening when I had this whole experience, when I called and I had turned to my friend and I said, okay, she's transitioning right now, my grandmother. And she's like, well, hasn't she been sick for a long time? I'm like, no, she's literally transitioning now because I'm seeing her in front of me. Like she had already made that. So that was what confirmed it for me, was like my grandmother in her transition. She came to me and she basically told me, this is the true path, like follow this. And then it was the very next day is when I met Theta Healing and also Richard.
Wow.
And the very next day. And it was like, because he was doing a presentation right after I met the woman, because I was also at age 8. I had visited by an angel that where I consider one of the guardian angels, I guess. And it was the one thing it said was that you would work with DNA, and that like what my true purpose was to work with DNA and be teacher to the masses. And I was like, okay, I've taught tons of people in lots of different formats over the years. So, but anyway, at that point, I was always kind of looking for this DNA thing. And when I went and sat down and had the experience of the DNA Theta Healing, I was like, this woman's my teacher. I called her right after it. I was like, I'm like, yeah, I'm in the next class. And so from that point on, it was like amazing.
Wow.
And so I believe in trusting the gut and really, I really know. I mean, I've worked with probably hundreds of thousands of people, like in the last like 15 years easily. And then on myself, like countless, never ending. And especially this year, like another whole round of me resetting my foundation. So always trust. You go within, you really learn to go within. And in order to do so, we have to open the heart and to trust that pure energy of essence of like God's will, isness, truth is creation. And it's our birthright. And it's in our cells and our quarks and our atoms and our mitochondria and our tachyons and all that we are. And it's in our whole auric field. But we have to be welcoming of it in order to fully receive it and then take it into our every breath in and every breath out. We're holding that sacred space to where two or more are gathered. Like the love vibration coming out of us all online right now is so amazing, isn't it? It's like so yummy because we're getting like a reciprocity back. So thank you all. Woo.
Thank you so much.
So
Wow.
that's
So
kind of.
thank you for all for joining us. Say hi, give us a comment, join the conversation. We're so happy for having you here with us. Okay, Stacy. So you just mentioned about the DNA, and I'm really curious about the DNA right now. Well, I know we do work on it, but a lot of people who are watching probably don't think that the spiritual aspect comes with the DNA. So would you like to share a little bit about it? I can, but since you're the guest, I'm going to actually ask you to share about it.
Yes.
Okay.
So, um, depending on what format you come
Oh, yeah,
from,
of course.
like,
Oh, Stacy saying hi and love you both.
oh, thank you. Hi, Stace. Glad to have
Thanks.
you with us. Okay, so in terms of like this, like in Christianity or that kind of it depends on, we honor all faiths, right? All pathways, but like a typical, most all the different versions of the Bible share about like the sins of the father. Well, literally with the DNA, we have different levels to it. And so there's like, our core, which is everything that we acquire in this lifetime. Every 17 seconds, we're acquiring new belief constructs, right? As part of the human condition, right? It doesn't mean it's God's truth. It's just based on what you have encoded already within you, your DNA responds. The genetic level is literally what we get through the bloodlines, through the mother and father that we came through. And it goes back 7 generations. Now, if it's 8 generations or more, that moves up to what we consider history level. And the history level also contains part of the collective consciousness and or pastime realities or simultaneous realities, however you want to look at that. And that's a whole nother set of belief constructs. And then we have what we consider the higher self, right? Well, when we come into our truest presence and our truest self, we've moved beyond the concept of mind or personally identified self, so that you rise above and beyond any challenges that are in your programming through the DNA and or RNA, depending on how that dynamic works. And then you live from the truest sense of self, which is our only truth, right? It's beyond the illusion. And that's where we embrace each day to day. That's how I would describe it.
Thank you. Well, actually, this morning I was listening to, I think, Greg Braden. I don't know.
Oh, I love him. Yes, I've been to some of
Right?
his workshops.
And then he was actually talking with someone else and talking about how the DNA can be altered by the subconscious mind. And I'm like, oh wow, he's talking in our language right now. But I know he's been like that for so long. But I was listening, and then you know what? In Japan, the COVID virus, the number of the people who have the COVID virus is going down like dramatically. And then this researcher found out that the virus itself is not really multiplying as it should. So it's actually killing itself. Well, I know it's not going to disappear, because there's going to be another mutation or whatever you want to call it. But still, they found out that it itself is destroying itself, and it's actually kind of diminishing, like disappearing. And then I was just like wondering, how we actually work on the subconscious, and we work on it to actually accept ourselves, or any aspect of ourselves, and then it alters the DNA. Well, it might have been happening, and I just thought it was really cool. And since you were talking about working on the DNA, we do have all levels in ourselves, and that's the whole self of us, which we're not really aware of, right? The subconscious is like a big chunk of us that we don't really get to connect or see while we're living our daily life, without knowing that there is more of us than me at this present moment, right? And Stacy, you're like just an expert to connect to different aspects. Like, I have learned a lot from you because you've been my teacher. we've been we've been connected in so different ways, and we also know that there is life beyond life. So, yeah, so I have another question for you, Stacy. So, since, a lot of things happened this year to you and to many people in different ways. I mean, in so many different ways. And when we think about how we're connected to this energy that creates us, but still, we're still human, we have so many things going on. When you consider us as like a human being on this planet, and kind of connecting to everything, but still, when you want to really connect, because a lot of people don't realize that they do. That's what the whole thing is, that spirituality is everywhere. Spiritual is just like unseen forces, but it's so difficult for one person to understand when they're not into that opening yet. So do you have any tips, or do you have anything that you can share about how people can connect, or what it is and how you experience and how you can share with us today?
Yeah. So thank you. That's an amazing question. And the interesting thing is as one of the greatest gifts that this life and that this year has been for me with the transition of my beloved Richard in February, was that it was really the greatest gift of detachment that I could ever possibly imagine. And one of the, there's this phrase or saying, like here in the States, or I don't know, probably other places in the world, but it's like, let go and let God, right? Let go and let peace, let go and let joy, right? And many times when we're personally identifying with the Stacy Rush of attachment to the body versus my body is a beautiful sacred vessel that contains and allows and welcomes in the truth of spirit expression through me, right? And so that's what, while at the same time, of course, it was heart-wrenching and it was just like the biggest shock ever because we had the best year ever, kind of a dynamic, but on another level, because my gifts are so open, I have direct communication all the time, right? And I do this for a living and all that kind of a dynamic, but I was consciously aware. In fact, I'm being interviewed on my birthday for another international radio show where we talk about that, because people need to understand the fact that there really is never loss, right? That's part of the brain construct of the human condition. But in reality, it's just higher vibrational frequency coherence that they level up to. And then just recognizing to detach or have non-attachment to that which is not of highest truth, right? And so when you start learning to live with highest truth alone, and that's your center of like, peace and joy and measurement of where you're at in your expression, every moment of now is showing us where we're at in our relationship with Creator, with Source, with God, with all things. And the universe responds based on what our cells and our mitochondria and our quarks and atoms and tachyons and all that we are vibrating, resonating, sending out. And then coherence is what brings it to us, right? And so that's kind of where hopefully some of these terms, like I'm talking this stuff, but if there's anybody who doesn't, these are some really interesting concepts that you might want to look at or be inspired to kind of start inquiring within, because you're not really living, you're going through them. I consider it, a lot of people, they're not full. I could see their aura. They're not fully even in their body. They're only up to their ankles. They're not grounded. They're not present. I'm usually pretty grounded, like solidly present. Of course, not saying that I don't fly off the handle every once in a great while. I'm a work in progress. By all means. But at the same time, I make it a point, a conscious effort to be present and to have the experience of living passionately. Otherwise, it's like going in the rat race or being on the hamster wheel, where it's like you get up, you go to work, you get up, you go to work, you pay your bills, go to bed, get up, go to work, go to soccer practice, take your kid, like feed your husband. And it's like monotonous. You're on this wheel and you're not living, or you're not joy. Our truest nature is to be joyful and to be happy and I've been learning, to come back into that level of self-love, even through the transition dynamic, and still, go to work and be of service and do all those dynamics. Not to say that, over the summer I didn't have, or different times I haven't had emotionalities, but that's the physical part of me that needs to express those dynamics. Not identifying it or sitting it or mulling in it is allowing me to really take deeper depths of that self-love in, right? And so I can then be better of service for the students and clients and people that I work with and encounter.
Right. So the joy and then the happiness to love yourself, to be within you, and is actually a way to connect to the outside world so that you can spread the love that you have and also feel the others that have the love. Right?
Yes, definitely. And that's what, that's kind of what I believe like the journey of life is really about. that whole experience of, why are we here? I remember laying in my pool as like a kid, looking at the sky, watching the clouds and being like, what are we here for? Like, what is this really about? Like, why are we here? Like, what is this really about? Kind of a thing, like having these like deep, I remember as an 8-year-old, I would have thoughts that like were way beyond my years, but people have always told me I'm ahead of my time and kind of like that old soul thing. Well, definitely. And many of you that are watching this are kind of like us, on some, more or less.
Yeah, but many people don't recognize that and live their life without knowing that feeling that they're having of missing something or why am I here is a question that is a little bit, weird or maybe stupid, or some people laugh. But truly, that question itself is actually seeking for the answer, for connecting to everything and understanding who you are and why you're here. And once you know that answer, things starts to shift, right, Stacy?
Absolutely. And then it goes much smoother. Now,
Yes.
I've worked with a lot of people over the years, and some people take a little bit more of a dramatic route till they get there. Like kind of, I'm doing this, you can't even see this camera, but some people take like a more dramatic. I was pretty straight-laced in terms of my dynamic, so I'm super grateful for my plans of creation. And but it's possible for everyone. It's how willing are you to open your heart and to a greater purpose of what you're here for. And when you really grasp that, and that's one of Richard's big things was that creator is my why. And he learned that from a colleague of ours from Sumat. And then what was the other one that he always was really, if you want to be aligned in Miracle Universe, everything that you think, say, and do is aligned in helping someone, where it's like and that's just, I've been living like that for many years. And so my life that's pretty magical. I have the amazing stories, like amazing things, but it's because I welcome the magical and miraculous in all areas and in my aspects of my life before my feet hit the floor. Right. And I said, so I mean, I've been doing that since, God, I think I might've been 12.
Wow.
I used to do it a different way. We used to have holy water inside of I used to do it through prayer and that kind of a thing. And it is still my prayer almost daily. Like before I go to bed and in the morning, I set my energies, say my prayers for everybody in the world and, send it all out. And my phone gets set at 9:00 to send love to the Data Healing group and the Tanaha prayer circle. And, any way that I can be of service, I do my best to. And there's days that, you might not get to it, but no one's checking on me but me.
Hey, that's right. You're the only person checking on us. That's pretty true. And so critical too. Yeah. Oh, well, that's a great story. We want to hear more and more and more and more. We have like a limit of time because we have like 30 minutes for this, live show. Yes. So Stacy, do you have any plans that are going on from now on? And yeah, share with us.
I do. Of course, I teach workshops and stuff often. So that's a lot of that you'll see like on my Facebook page or different threads. I've kind of been a little bit behind in getting my website updated, but I'm hoping to get that soon. I do have a YouTube channel that's starting shortly. I also do these live events, which I've done in Japan. Remember when I would do the open forum messaging where people could ask questions and then do that. So I do them in English, but it's a possibility, to do them wherever. But those I sell tickets through Eventbrite, and I have them like once or twice a month. I started doing that again. And then whenever I've been having this book that I've been working on since I was 18. Whenever I have time, I feel like soon enough it will be completed when the timing comes. And, feel free to join me on join my Facebook, or I'm at Loves Intelligence on Instagram. And then, of course, be patient with my response. I do take a lot of clients, client sessions. But one of the things why I started those group forum dynamics was because as people ask the questions, it benefits the whole. And there's healing that's offered through that dynamic as well. that the whole group can take. That way I could reach more people at one time. And so that's kind of, some of the dynamics, because I just can't, keep up. And I refer people and to other people and stuff. And so obviously whoever feels drawn, I believe every appointment is a sacred soul appointment. I've been doing that from when I was first started out. I was Stacy Rush, Divine Grace. And then when I retired from my teaching career, July 1st of 2013, I opened up fully Love's Intelligence Corporation. And ever since then, I'm not going to share that website because I haven't updated it since a while.
We'll share it when it's ready.
Yes, we're just going to stick with what I have shared so far. But yes, I welcome anybody who feels drawn. Then yeah.
So we can get all your information on Facebook right now.
Pretty much.
Connect with Stacy through Facebook.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So I actually did join one of your Sacred Soul. What did you say?
The Sacred Soul appointments. Yeah.
Appointments. Yes. So it was absolutely divine. I would say so we were in a room. So it wasn't like online. We were in Tokyo in a room and everybody joined. I remember like there were around 20 people in that room and everybody sat, and I think we dimmed the light and everything. It was like totally cool. I just loved it and hope to do that again. I mean, we want to do it in person, but also online.
Yeah, we could definitely do it.
Yeah.
That would be fun. We'll get that in the works.
Yes. And yeah, I know Stacy and I have plans coming up, and she'll be, connecting to Japan. So I'm really excited. Happy to translate you and host you. So
yes, I love Japan. I love Japanese people, and I know I've lived, or I have so much, like, I don't know, like Japan feels like home to me. And I would go back to Japan in a heartbeat. I love it.
Yeah. And anybody who is interested connecting with Stacy, yes, connect on her Facebook page. I think it's at Love Intelligence. That's your name to connect.
On Facebook, I'm Stacy Rush.
Okay.
And then I do have a Love's Intelligence Facebook page. I should probably check it more often. But Instagram is kind of what
the Instagram. Okay.
Instagram is at Love's Intelligence.
I'll put it on the comments later on so that everybody can check it out. And of course, the people who aren't watching right now on live, they come and watch later on with the recordings. So you will see it on the feed. So check it out. Wow. So Stacy, my birthday twin or soul twin, we're kind of connected so much. I'm so happy to have you here, and I'm sure you're going to join us again pretty soon. And yeah, and anyone who has questions for Stacy, please write it in the comments. You have the privilege to ask her any question regarding what she knows and what we know, and this is your open channel. So yes, connect us again next week. Let's see who will be our guest. I kind of have a feeling that Donna's coming, but we'll let you know. So awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for having me.
Yes,
I love you.
And everyone, thank you for joining.
Love to all. I'm sending love, so just say yes.
Yes. Okay, so everyone, thank you for joining us, and hope to see you again.
Yay.
Have a great day.
Where's the big hair? Oh, there we are.
Yeah, that is
okay. Peace out.